This is the Everyday Hustle Show, where our number one priority is self-development.
Each week, we will dive into insightful topics that encourage you to push your thinking beyond average.
Smash that subscribe button and tune in every Sunday at 6 p.m. Okay, welcome everyone to the 82nd recorded episode of the Everyday Hustle Show.
Yeah.
Christian, how you feeling tonight?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Got the coffee. Work was actually kind of tough, so it was good to be off.
It's not Friday yet, but you're almost there.
It's Friday Junior.
Friday Junior.
That's what we say at work all the time.
All right, we got a special guest, Alyssa Eggy, here tonight. How you feeling, Alyssa?
I'm feeling fantastic. I'm excited to be on the show.
All right.
First ever podcast for her.
Yeah, it's exciting. So I met Alyssa through Danny, actually, D Squared. We worked, mutually. Yeah, shout out to Danny. Always helping out the team. But we met mutually on a project and became friends on Facebook. And I just really, put up a post and said, anybody want to come on a podcast? Yeah. She said, yeah, and then here we are. But no, I mean, I always, you never know who you're going to meet, Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. I always say when people come here to the podcast, it's like, it's weird a little bit because you come to someone else's house, you don't know what you're getting into, and like in my head, it's always like, how did you know I wasn't like a serial killer or something?
Danny.
Okay, he vouched.
Danny, yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would still probably come. I'm always getting myself in weird situations.
That's good. I mean, most people aren't willing to take risks, and I guess that just kind of in multiple areas of life, but. So you are the president and lead strategist at Sail Away Media, which is a social media marketing firm that helps businesses generate new leads. So you're guiding your team in crafting successful strategies that have delivered up to 42 times return on their investment.
Boom.
Fire me up right now. So Alyssa founded Sail Away Media when she left a growing career as an e-commerce manager for a billion-dollar company. And she felt passionate about helping small businesses get real results from their digital marketing efforts. Above all, she values working with businesses that desire to bring good to the world.
Yeah.
If you ever catch her away from her laptop, she's spending time with her husband, practicing yoga, or hanging out with her puppy. Ooh. What kind of dog you got?
Yeah, I was about to ask.
Almost not,
Chris, that's the first thing.
He's almost not going to be a
like,
puppy anymore, but he's a year old.
That's
he's
so young.
He's a mini golden doodle.
Golden retriever
and poodle mix.
I can't.
Cool.
I don't know what that looks like.
I'll show you guys pics.
All right.
He's very cute.
I have a little Jack Russell mix.
Oh,
so.
that's cute.
Okie.
Yeah. Shout out Okie if you're listening. Okie, I love you.
So, I'm gonna dive into. I want to talk about the e-commerce manager position at the company before you started your company.
Sure.
And we'll probably even end up going even farther than that, but that just stands out to me when you say, $1 billion company, it always is like, oh man, that's probably a big deal, So tell us a little bit about the company and what you did there.
Yeah. So, I'm going to go back even a little bit further.
Cool.
So I've always been like a hustler with trying to start my own thing. When I was in high school, I was 16. I made my first website. And after I did that, I was like, man, I got to sell these things. And so throughout college, I was making websites on the side. It was like one of my favorite things to do. And I was providing website design services for all different kinds of clients.
Were you using WordPress back then?
I sure was.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I just remember like all my friends, like they didn't have like the same attitude towards that kind of like hustle. And they were always kind of like, wow, like that's really impressive. But I was like, this is just like what I love to do. Like I just loved like working on these things and being creative. So I eventually moved down to Florida, and that's when I got the job at that company. And I honestly didn't know that much about web design. Like I knew how to design something and build it on WordPress, but I didn't know how to code really. And I remember in my interview, they asked me, like, can you code? I was like, yes. And they brought me on as a web assistant. And I was really young, and I was so excited, and I was like so passionate about my job, and I just wanted to get to the top so badly.
Is there coding involved as a web assistant?
Quite a bit, and I didn't expect it. And so
but I like that. It's you say yes and you figure it out later.
Yeah, Google was my best friend.
You have to. Yeah.
And so I sat there at my desk all day. My main responsibility there was like building email marketing campaigns. They had a very large list. It was probably like 200,000 people on their list, and we would send those out every single day. And so I was in charge of coding the emails, to this large list. I was always like, I can't mess this up. Like
Y'all
making
didn't use
sure.
MailChimp?
No.
Wasn't around, I don't think.
No, I wish it was MailChimp because I had experience with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But this was like custom done with like their own integrations and software. But it was a lot of fun and I learned a lot. And eventually my manager, who was the e-commerce manager, wound up leaving. And I took his role. And that was really exciting for me. That happened after maybe a year. It was probably about a year and a half. And I started to learn a little bit more about different things. So I had to take over responsibility for all the traffic on their website. It was a lot. It was a big role and I loved it. But eventually I just started to feel like it was not fulfilling my passion. And this entire time that I was working there and I was getting paid a pretty good salary, I continued to build websites for people on the side because I just loved helping people with that stuff. And people would come to me and I couldn't say no and I would always do it for them. And so I had this desire to leave and start my own thing, but I was really, really scared to actually go about doing that. So out of fear, I made the decision to leave and go back to school instead. I said, maybe if I continue my education, then I'll be ready to start my own business.
The blow a little bit. Yeah.
Totally. So I left, I went back to school and I studied web development and it was so hard because I now at this point knew a lot about HTML and CSS, but I didn't know anything about like JavaScript or PHP. And so all the kids in my class, they were younger than me and they were like these nerds and they were so good. They were coding video games. And I was like, I'm never going to get to that level where I enjoy something like that. And that's when I started to realize that web development wasn't for me. And so I left that school with an associate's degree. And I said, I'm going all in on Sail Away Media. And I kind of started it while I was in school.
How'd you come up with the name?
A candle.
It was a scent.
A scent called Sail Away.
Sail Away.
And a friend of mine was like, why don't you just name it Sail Away Media? And I was like, searched online to see if the domain was available. And
I thought you were
was.
gonna say something like because if you like sign up with us, your results are gonna.
Oh well, I mean, I use that all the time. But honestly, it was named off of a candle. I wanted it to be a lot of other things, and
it flows.
Yeah.
none of them were available. And that one was
Yeah.
SailAwayMedia.com, which I was excited about. So snagged it and started it.
Nice. Yeah. I think a lot of times too, like you think the, story behind the name is this grandiose thing, but
Yeah.
just like with LF, it's the same thing. It's like, it's just something that kind of just came.
Tell her
about.
what LF is. She doesn't know what LF is.
Well, I own a clothing brand. It's actually the shirt that Andrew's wearing. Well, me and my partner Abel, and it's that's actually why
She
I was
could
really
actually-
excited.
yeah, she could
that's-
definitely
That's
help
why
you
I was
guys.
really excited when I was,
Yeah.
when he let me know and he sent me, your bio and stuff, and it's. Yeah, there's I think it's kind of, we're in a place as far as, people, society, whatever, where it's just so easy to start a company. And I think at times, at least for myself, there can be times where it's kind of daunting, where it's like, okay, I sign up for MailChimp, I sign up for this, I'm doing email campaigns or email marketing, and it's like, all right, well, I try to look up YouTube videos on how to do it effectively. And it's like, damn, well, there's so many people that are doing it. And I just feel, and I know it's kind of, probably not it doesn't make sense a lot of times, but it feels like there's just so many people out there doing the same exact thing that you're doing. So that's why I was really excited when, Andrew let me know that you were coming on. But yeah, it's just interesting when you hear, a backstory of someone's passion and someone's company.
Tell her about your company, dude. What's the clothing line about?
So it's basically about my
Maybe
heritage.
some listeners haven't heard,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically about my heritage. I'm Mexican American.
Cool.
And
If you couldn't tell.
If you couldn't tell, yeah. Well, actually, I do get Indian sometimes. I don't know if it's.
I can see that.
I think it's just the hair, but
I can see that.
but
Yeah, when the hair's down, you're total freaking
Yeah.
total Mexican.
Yeah, when my
Not in
hair's
a bad
down,
way, like-
yeah, when my hair is down, it definitely looks like it. But yeah, me and my partner, we went to the same high school, and we just, within the last probably 5 years or so, I've really kind of, found more passion and more interest into my own history, my own culture, and stuff like that. And so, with doing research, with reading books and stuff like that about my past, it sparked that passion, and I've been wanting to work with Abel for a long time. And so when I reached out to him, it flowed pretty well. He was very passionate with the same, in the same concept. And so that's how we started. We do like our best to try to showcase, Latin culture and Latin artists of all different kinds. So we actually do a few different things like Trucha Thursdays, where every Thursday we highlight and showcase someone, from around the world. So
very cool.
Yeah, so we're doing little things like that. We're planning, actually right now we're planning our first annual community event in Lake Worth.
Nice.
Yeah, and so we're planning to bring people from that we featured on the Trucha Thursday. We're planning to bring them out from like California, Arizona, Nevada, and a few different spots that we're still trying to confirm. But yeah, so like you said, passion, if you're doing something, you're not passionate about it, even with, we've talked on the podcast before, right now my day job is HVAC, air conditioning. Mm-hmm. And although I love it, I'm learning, I know for a fact that it's not something that I necessarily want to do for the rest of my life.
Right.
But it's great right now. And it's something that no matter what, I'm not wasting my time. I'm constantly, building, and the more time I put in, the more I get out of it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that's made a lot of times when it comes to entrepreneurship. People think, or at least like what everybody kind of says is like it's all or nothing,
right,
black or white.
Right.
And it's not, I didn't even mention this when I was talking earlier, but when I was in school, I actually was terrified to leave my job. And I kept that job part-time, like kind of as a freelancer for definitely like a few months because I needed the income.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been really crazy for me to just quit completely and go all in with something that wasn't going to, allow me to eat.
Right.
So I did keep that job for a while, and then I got let go after a while. They got a new owner. The company was acquired by somebody else, and she sat like 5 of us down in a room and she let me go. And that was a blessing because before that, I couldn't even break $10,000 a month in Salo Media. But as soon as I was let go, I had drive to actually do that.
Because now you knew that
I
was how you were
needed
gonna eat.
to do it. And I wasn't wasting all of these hours a week working for another company when my real passion was behind my own. So, I mean, I truly do believe that was a blessing, even though when it happened, I was pretty taken aback and pretty upset. But I don't think I ever would have quit if it wasn't for that.
Similar situation with me. I mean, it like now, when I look at it now, it's more of like, it put me in a really challenging position now, like long term. But I was let go in like January of 2018, and 2 weeks after that, I LLC'd Knives Designs, and then I think it was like 2 months after that, I started the concept and idea and the early planning of the juice bar. So, but that was like, I was like, I can either go get another job, or I can just do this all now. Which like I don't think I would. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend that to someone else.
Same. Because
now, like, I'm in like a hard position, So, but that's where we thrive, When the pressure's on, we're gonna keep shit moving, I was in the fucking victim mode yesterday. Christian was like, "Dude, don't be a fucking little Nancy about it, dude." He's like, "You chose to do this, And I was like, "Damn, like I needed that." But that's why I have the best friends. So.
It's not always easy. That's another really good point. Like something that I've learned in the past couple of years is I cannot take anything that happens with my business personally. And it's so easy to do that because I tell myself like, oh, the reason that client's upset is because of you. Like this is your business. It's like I attach myself so much to it. Or if I can't crack a funnel for some reason, like I get mad at myself when in reality it's an algorithm. Like Facebook is an algorithm and it needs time. It needs tweaks. You can't get emotionally invested in that stuff, as well as clients' reactions, especially working one-on-one with clients. I've had people yell at me and I take it personally, of course, but I'm like, this has nothing to do with me or the success of my company.
Right. Same thing in the food business, like with customers, it's very, very hard to not take it personal because you put your everything into it.
Correct.
But on that note, tell us about, exactly what SailAway does. And, I guess you could say it's digital marketing, per the website, but break it down a little bit more about, what you guys do, how you can help businesses grow, and like, what is it that you say you're passionate about it. What about it lights you up that you just want to keep doing it every day? Yeah,
for sure. So what definitely lights me up, which actually kind of contradicts what I just said, but getting results for clients, like actual measurable results. So I used to focus solely on web design, and people couldn't really measure results from that. So yeah, you can deliver them with a beautiful website, but what next? People need sales. They need revenue to keep their business going. And that's where the real value comes in. So that's kind of why I shifted away from web design and moved towards Facebook advertising, because it was A, a really hot niche, and B, because I'm really passionate about it. It takes that creativity from design to, video to copywriting and molds it all into one and data. And so what Sail Away Media does today, we used to do web, graphic, and social media marketing, but now we're just social media marketing company, and we focus on generating leads for businesses. So building out the Facebook funnels that they need. A lot of times businesses are boosting their posts, they're spending money, they're driving traffic directly to their website, when in reality they need a funnel. They need to be able to
tell us what a funnel is.
Okay, so a funnel is kind of taking your customer through a journey from where they don't know you to when they become a loyal customer. So, a good example is kind of, say somebody has never heard of your juice bar before. So you would start targeting that cold traffic, people who have never heard of you before, and maybe give them an offer. Maybe you could give them like a $10 off coupon or a free juice if they come in. From there, people who start to engage with your website, people who start to watch your video content, people who engage with your Instagram, like all those audiences can be retargeted. So they're going to see different ads than the people who have never heard of you. I'm sure you guys see all those ads across the internet that are stalking you when you are thinking about buying a pair of shoes or something. Right. That's what a funnel is. So it's identifying cold traffic versus warm traffic versus people who buy and maybe getting them in the door again saying, hey, we haven't seen you in a while in the ad. That's powerful stuff. And
you specifically solely focus on Facebook?
Yep.
Well, Facebook and Instagram are kind of one, right?
Yeah. So
because if I noticed if you do a paid ad on Facebook, it's also going to be on Instagram, right?
Yeah. So Facebook owns Instagram. So using Facebook's Ads Manager platform, you can decide whether or not you want to run traffic on just Facebook, on just Instagram, or on both.
And do you guys do also, Google AdWords or just strictly Facebook?
No, Google AdWords makes me want to melt.
Is it tough? Is it tougher? Like a...
No, I mean, some people prefer Google AdWords over Facebook ads, but I love Facebook. I love that. And Instagram. I love how it is more creative and more image and content based. And Google AdWords is much more just like click.
Right. I like how you talked about, we used to do media and website and graphics, and now we do this. Because in my head, I'm thinking, okay, so what if Facebook shuts down? Like, I'm sure that's something that you think about all the time because you're building your business around a certain thing. I mean, what can you apply, or what direction would you go if there was no more social media?
That's a good question. Another thing that we do a lot is building messenger bots. I think I would shift the business to messenger bots, but that also is on Facebook.
What's that?
So it's like
just go on sailawaymedia.com.
We'll get you.
You have a messenger bot that comes up, and then another one for a mailing list, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
But you go on the website, and they're just they're popping up
asking
like,
if
hey.
you need help with anything.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have interacted. It's like a fairly new thing that's getting.
But you
kind
can do
of
it
popular.
on websites too, and I feel like
you can. Yes, it's all about automated chat and making people's experiences easier. But a lot of times these days, you'll see an ad that's running, and when you click on it, it doesn't take you to a website. It takes you to a messenger conversation, and the entire thing will be automated. And it's really cool and really fun, especially for re-engaging your leads. Mm-hmm. We can do quizzes within Messenger.
Oh wow!
Lots of different things, really. Yeah.
So you know how to code those onto websites.
Yeah, so they're. I'm not coding them. I use a software called ManyChat to build them.
Okay.
But yeah, that maybe I would go towards email marketing route. I know that's a little bit like, is anyone using email anymore? But yes, everybody's using email.
Hell yeah. Are you kidding?
A lot of people say that. Yeah. They say, oh, bots are the new thing. No one's using email. But in reality, people are checking their emails constantly, and it's still huge. And that's a big thing that we also do supply our clients with. So when I say like a funnel, like we're going to take you from the very beginning to the very end. So when you do get a new lead, we have integration set up so that they receive an instant lead alert on their phone. They're added to a Google sheet, and then we also start an email marketing campaign to nurture the leads. Yeah. So that is something that we do offer, but it's mostly focused on generating the leads.
Yeah, see that's huge because like we're using Squarespace for ours, and they have that. So I literally just installed the bot. Mm-hmm. But it's very basic. It basically just it says, hey, is there anything that we can help you with?
Yeah.
And then I tried it, if they respond or say something, I get an alert to my phone.
Right.
But then I have to engage from that point. It's not automatic, but it's like those little things. And we just started email marketing, but it's very slow. And I know we're definitely not doing it like effectively or efficiently. What advice would you give to a small business who basically, doesn't really know what email marketing is, or, how does that benefit your company?
Yeah, so I mean, right now we've just recently gotten back into making sure that we're sending emails on a consistent basis. I've always made sure that people are getting emails upon interest in us, but nurturing those leads is so important because we've generated hundreds and hundreds of leads of people who are interested in working with our company but haven't necessarily converted. So now we're using email marketing as a platform to re-engage them and keep them interested and provide value most of all. So that would be my main tip, would be to provide value in your emails. Make it something that people actually want to open and read.
Right.
So what we've been doing is every single week I send out a tip, and it's like a Facebook advertising tip. And people have been finding it valuable, and I always put at the end an opportunity to book a call if you want to chat with us further.
Yeah.
And we do. We always get a couple bookings, which is cool, from not a very big list. It's probably 500 people on our list.
Yeah, like as opposed to just saying, here, buy my stuff, every single email, every
Unsubscribe.
single day. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, I went old school in the juice bar, and I put a pad and paper out.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, and I have well over 200 now, and we just launched the website. So
you're saying you asked people to write their email?
Yeah, man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I was like thinking like how what's like, and of course you got to give them something, or else they're not going to do it. But it's the same thing. It's like I have now I have a list that we don't really use too much, and I'm thinking like if a week goes by, it's like too long to not engage. You have this audience. That it's just sitting and collecting dust. But yeah, that's another thing is like, what do they want? What would be, and I think as a consumer, like, what would I open? Like, what do I open? It's like
smoothie recipes.
Ooh, that's good.
Wow.
That's a good
Weight
one.
loss tips.
I would have never thought of that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like, I did today's email was about the, I think it was like that we have online ordering available now.
Yeah, I've seen that. I did see
that. Then I did something too about, that was to Facebook post about like the health benefits of juicing, because I feel like sometimes people buy stuff and they don't know what they're doing it. Why are they doing it?
Absolutely. Yeah. So a good formula that I usually use, not only for email content, but also for posting on social media, on Facebook and Instagram, I rotate through the 3 pillars. So the first one would be giving a tip. So giving some value. That could be a smoothie recipe. For me, it's usually a Facebook advertising tip. The next time, it could be a success story. So you could talk about how someone has achieved great success through drinking your juice. I usually talk about a client's success. And then the other one is something relatable and something funny. So just maybe a story about myself. People like to work with people, and people probably also like to buy juice from people.
The most response I ever get on social media is when I post something personal about myself.
Right.
That's just the truth. It's like, hey, like I'm a freaking, like here's a picture of like, I don't do this often. Like here's a picture of my baby. Like we're 6 months today, like
people love that.
Yeah. Or like, hey, like, starting a business takes a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like it's hard. This is challenging. Like I just want you guys to know that, it's just, I'm struggling, whatever it is. Like that gets the most response. And yeah, it's like, this is all good stuff to just say out loud. Cause sometimes you're so in the motion of doing everything that you normally do. I'm sure when you operate a business, it's like, you just go through the motions and you just show up and you just do the daily routine. Sometimes you just forget how important that type of stuff is.
Oh, absolutely. It's so funny because it's what we do professionally, but a lot of times ours is lacking tremendously. Right. It's like they say the shoemaker that has no shoes.
So tell us about, so you got laid off, which was a good thing, you said, because you were working part-time, but then you started the business and that gave you the edge that you needed to kind of go all in. But tell us about, there had to have been some time between then and now that you had some type of growing pains, trouble, some type of like, problems that you faced in early, new business hood, I guess you could say.
Oh yeah. There's been a lot of pains, growing pains. Even today, all the time I have growing pains. It's tough. In the very beginning, I dreamed of quitting my company and going back to a full-time job some days. So some days I would be like, wow, it would be so easy to just give this up, because I have so much responsibility right now, and just go back to the 9 to 5, get a good salary, be back where I want to be. But then other days I'd be on cloud 9 because I'd be so happy with what I was doing. And I would say, oh my gosh, I'm so happy we're getting clients, incredible results. People are so happy with us. And then the next day I'll get like a negative email or something and my whole world is shattering. So it's, again, that emotional roller coaster that I think is so important to stay emotionally detached from your business as much as possible.
So you think that's one of the keys to not... I guess the question was more kind of geared towards like maybe a time where you were struggling and you didn't have people to work with, or, you know, having a hard time getting clients, or just like maybe like, I don't know, do you guys have your own office?
Nope, we're a remote team.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I was
it's
gonna say,
better,
like, maybe
less-
you had a hard time finding negotiating a lease, or, you know, I don't know. I was just like thinking like logistically from getting from point A to starting the business to where you are today. You know, if there was any situation in your head that kind of like stuck out that was like, damn, that was hard to get through, but I made it through. And because I'm sure like there's, you know, other people who are dealing with this similar situations. But.
Yeah, so one of the big ones for me that I faced, it's not necessarily like a specific time I remember, but it was more like months that I had this fear, was when I was really transitioning from freelancer to business owner. Because for so long that I was building websites, I was doing everything on my own. Mm-hmm. And in order to get past a certain revenue point, it's critical that you have a team. Otherwise, you can only take on so many projects, right? But I didn't know who I wanted on my team, and I didn't think I trusted anybody enough to do the work for me. That was the main thing. I was
especially remotely. Holy shit! You never know what the fuck someone's doing.
That is very true. But it was definitely a trust issue. I had no problem hiring an account manager. She was my first hire because I thought that was, you know, a good fit for her. And I honestly, I don't love dealing with clients all the time. That freed up a lot of my time. But hiring a Facebook ad specialist was a challenge because I was really confident in my own abilities. And getting results is the most important part for our clients. So I was like, man, if I hire someone and they suck and they tank all of our campaigns, my business is going to go down the drain. So it's just really having a lot of trust that I'm not the only one that knows how to do this. There are a lot of talented people out there. Mm-hmm. And I have found some really great people that are on my team now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like consulting just in general, like sometimes you have to get a second opinion or other people's. Yeah, I mean, like thinking that you know it all is like a recipe for disaster.
Totally.
You know? Yeah, that's just kind of like the mentality that I know that I had like back, you know, in like my early 20s, you know, like you can't fucking tell me how to fucking do shit, you know?
Uh-huh.
Like,
also when it's like your baby too, like it's your company and it's like
that's really
I'm the only one that really cares. I mean, I'm sure you know with the juice bar, you know, it's like you feel like you're the only one that is willing to put 100%.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but you have to delegate responsibility and trust. Yeah. So is your team's remote? Are they local?
One of them is.
Okay. So you guys meet and like chill and like.
I mean, honestly,
work
we
at
do
Starbucks sometimes.
No, we do everything online. Everything's on the internet. We have a morning daily huddle every single day, and it's on Zoom.
Yeah.
Sick.
And so we get on there, and it's like usually 15 to 20 minutes long, and then we're on Slack all day with each other. We're all working from our houses, and we love it.
Yeah.
How many
I did
people?
that for some time.
There's 5 of us.
5.
Okay.
So I mean, I have thought about maybe getting an office, but every time I think about it, I'm like, nah. What an extra expense that I do not need.
Yeah, Danny always tells me expenses low. Keep your expenses low. I ask him about everything because, you know, he's been in business for you know, 7 or 8 years now. So when you went from the transitioning to freelance to being, you know, the company with employees, I mean, did you have to fund that by like borrowing money, or did you just like risk it and like take on big projects and like make it work, or like, because that seems like, because I'm kind of in a similar situation where it's like, okay, do we borrow money to get higher results and grow more, or do we just kind of maybe go the route that we're on for like another fucking year, 18 months, who knows,
right?
You know, do we risk it more and bite off more, or do we like...
It's definitely a slower growth if you're not taking on any money, but I didn't get any money from anywhere. I bootstrapped the entire thing.
Right.
And honestly, the way that I made that initial transition was outsourcing. So I would bring on clients and I would hire another agency to actually manage the clients in the beginning. And this agency I trusted a lot. And they were very talented. But my profit was horrible.
I was going to say, yeah.
I was losing like 75% of the work I was getting on that. So I kind of kept that going along. And then I eventually got to the place where I couldn't even afford to send out projects to other agencies because of the cost of doing it. So I just started taking on a lot myself. I was like, I'm going to take on all these projects myself, overwork myself for a couple months until I'm ready to bring people on the team. And I did that. And I was able to make the transition pretty smoothly.
Yeah. I mean, if you could see right there, I don't know if you could see it from where you're at, but that is a menu that I designed in Photoshop, bought freaking craft paper, put it through my printer instead of like buying like menus like from a printing company, because it's like shit just changes so much. And it's like, I'm trying to really like every aspect of the business, whatever it is. And like, I've been just so blessed that I know like the Adobe suite.
Oh my God. The Adobe suite is a lifesaver.
But like, if I didn't, like, I don't know how people like, because, you know, I had the logo done by Danny and his team, but like, if I didn't have that pack of like graphics and stuff like that, and the ability to use Photoshop and Premiere Pro and all these video programs to do everything that we do, it's like, I don't know how people afford to like run a small business when they can't, like, if you can't create content. Like, I'm a photographer too. Like, I have a freaking really expensive camera and all that stuff. Like, yeah, I've used my iPhone for stuff, but like, still, there's nothing like a really quality, you know, picture for a website or whatever it is. And I'm just like, damn, like, I'm doing literally everything. It's like, I don't know how somebody could like do all that.
Gets expensive real quick.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I mean, at least like for me, my business is kind of like so niche that it's like Facebook ads and it's all online. It's not really something that I needed to like get menus, like get professional video production. Like it really kind of just worked out because it's a digital agency. And I think that's why that niche is getting so popular now.
Yeah. And I think it's also important for people to know, like, if they have that drive and they want to start their own company, like, you don't need to like you started a company and you don't have an office. Like, I didn't know all that. Like, you look at it from an outsider's perspective and you think like, this must be like a decent sized agency with like, you know, glass doors and shit, you know, conference tables and that kind of thing. But it's like, you know, people need to know that the days of like that type of business that's not really how most companies operate now.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm typically
like
at home.
VaynerMedia, you know?
Right.
Yes, I'm typically at home in my pajamas on the phone with clients. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Christian, I've been like stealing the show. I mean, I know you said you have stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, I was actually just about to ask right now, how do you, like, what does your day look like? How do you keep yourself kind of motivated? Because I know, like, if I didn't have to be anywhere, I would probably wake up at like 10, you know, or 11.
Well, I will tell you, I am not a morning person.
Okay, so
I have slept through my own daily huddle multiple times.
do you have like a specific routine, or is it just kind of you just try to?
I mean, I use Google Calendar for everything.
Okay, yeah.
And I also Trello is a lifesaver. It's a project management system. It's always sending me reminders. We even have a project manager who's reminding me about stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wake up usually at the same time every day, usually like 9:30. Like, it's pretty bad. And then I'm up until 2 a.m. every night.
Yeah.
And then I'm like a night owl. And then after I wake up, I hop on my daily huddle, you know, get a cup of coffee. And that's a really good way to start the day, because we kind of just go around and everyone says, what are they working on today? Mm-hmm. And do you need anything from anyone else on the team? So I have to have that ready, because that's a little accountability. So I have to say, this is what I'm going to work on today. And then I work always off of a list. I work off of my to-do list, and I just go from the top and go down. And, you know, sometimes my days look different. Sometimes I have client meetings. I got to go out places. Other days I'm home and just working on stuff all day. But it's a lot of fun. And, you know, sometimes I am like, you know what, I'm just going to take off. I'm not going to work today on a Monday. And like, it's okay.
Yeah.
But usually I'll have to catch up at night or catch up another day.
Yeah. That's the self-employed life. It's like there's always something to do.
That's
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, just a tip, like, if you ever, you know, need to work from home, is like, you have to prepare for it like like anything else you would. Like if I know that I have like 3 hours to get work done here, and it happens like 2-3 days a week when I'm home, like, you know, if I'm watching the baby, like, I'll put her down, like, I'll take a shower, I'll get dressed, do my hair
quick,
literally everything, and then come in here like, let's do this.
Right.
You know,
so you gotta like basically as if you're going into somewhere. Yeah. That makes sense.
But yeah, I'm kind of like the same way too. Is like, I don't even set my alarm anymore. you know,
Yeah.
because like I don't have to. And that's like one of the luxuries, you know, is that like I have some, you know, team and partners who are, if, you know, I know that if I don't have to open up the place, you know, and plus we're inside of another business. So it's like always open. The door's always open, you know. But yeah, that's cool. So how could you help a small business? I know because in your bio it said passionate about helping small businesses get results from their digital marketing efforts. How could, like, if someone approached you and they had like very small budget, like, because small businesses, when I think small business, I think small budget, you know. I know, you know, it might be different for you because you have a lot of experience with it, but like what would the process be?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, it's really hard to work with people with very small budgets.
Yeah.
So one of the first questions we usually ask is, what's your budget?
What is your budget?
An ideal client for us is usually making at least $20,000 a month in revenue. Otherwise, they cannot really afford the ad spend and our services. And in that case, I'll kind of just tell them like, hey, you know, we do
revenue
offer
or profit?
revenue. I mean, hopefully their profits there, like up there. Yeah. But I forget what I was going to say now. One of the things that we do offer, which is like our initial package, is a business intensive, and it's a new offering, and it's a 2-hour session with the client. So a small business that really has no marketing budget could afford it. And it's like a one-time purchase, and we give them some homework before the call, and we ask them to do some research on their marketing and, you know, give us all the assets. And then we have a 2-hour call with the team, and we really dive deep into their business. So we try to figure out their ideal audiences. We go through what they're currently doing right now, what the best strategy is for them. And then afterwards, we map it out for them entirely with it. You know, they can keep the entire strategy if they want and just go implement it themselves. Or if they say, this is way too confusing, the cost of the business intensive goes directly towards working with us, and we knock that off of our services. But sometimes, you know, I haven't had anyone that wants to implement it themselves.
it's a lot of work.
That means you're doing a great job.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of strategy, and it can be tricky. You know, you tell someone, hey, you're going to need to do this on Facebook, this email list, this build this funnel, fix your website. They're like, oh my God, please help me.
If you miss a step, it's not effective, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was, cause when you posted something, and then Danny and I were chatting back and forth, and I was like, hey, like I should definitely get her to do some work for us. And he's like, yeah, you should probably talk to her about the price. Cause I'm like, well, that's good. You have to hold your standards high, and I'm sure you have a specific clientele that you cater to, and you know who you want to work with, you know, and you know what your time is worth. We talk about that all the fucking time.
Yeah.
It's about knowing your worth, and, you know, knowing, you know, what you can charge people, because you know that it's worth that, you know?
Yeah, we actually just increased our prices. And I heard from several people, so it's funny, it depends on who you talk to. So some people I talk to, they say, oh my God, your pricing is so high. I've never heard of such pricing. And other people I talk to say, you're not charging enough. So I decided we were going to increase our prices about a week ago. Because I realized that we're not going to hit our goals unless we have higher prices. So I don't want to be one of those agencies that has tons of clients that aren't getting the best results. I could easily do that. I could easily charge people $1,000 a month and get them not do very much, like send traffic directly to their website or something. But I don't ever want to do that. I want to be somebody who gets in and fully builds out their funnel and makes sure that it's converting and they're getting a return on their investment. And I'd rather charge more and be able to deliver results like that. And the cool thing about investing in marketing is that you usually make your money back.
I was just about to say,
all of our clients are getting positive return on investment. So telling them to spend some money, it may seem like a lot, but they're making it back.
Yeah. Yeah. The price is if you're seeing the results, it's not, you know, after that first month, you'll probably be like, it hurts a little bit at first, but you kind of get used to it.
That's what you got the Amex for too, you know. Charge it to
the game.
Get the free points.
Charge it to the game, and then just risk it for the biscuit, you know.
What Amex though, man? I don't know Amex, man. What? No Amex.
That's great. There was so much value in there and good stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because it's like, you know, for ours, so like our kind of setup, it's kind of like we're going like the media route right now, like we have clothes and stuff, but you know, it's tough because right now we're using Printful, so all of our strategy is basically, or all of our
do you know what Printful is?
No, it's basically drop shipping for clothes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so we're drop shipping our clothes, but we did that so that way we didn't have to do the upfront cost of how much it costs to make shirts, and that way now all of our expenses are going towards ads. So I've tried doing my own research. I when you said funnel, I understand like what you were saying, but it's like you said, it's the actual implementation of it and like being very consistent that for me has been like the hardest part, especially with like I go to work and I'm in the sun for like 9-10 hours, and then to come home and like try to like remember how to do stuff. It can be super difficult. So yeah, so I think it's really important for a small business, if they're serious about it, to seek help, and to seek help that actually brings that return of investment. Because like you said with the website, you guys try to save money that first time, and then there was issues with it, and then you guys ended up having to spend more on the back end. So
yeah, I mean, I have several stories. One of them, we audited accounts. We always do an audit of the person's Facebook account before we start working with them. And for one person, we audited it. They had a boosted post running for years, and they didn't know. They spent $14,000. I took a screenshot because it was so crazy. But that's the kind of money you can waste if you don't know what you're doing.
Wow.
And it was just a picture with no link. So that was one story. Another one, I audited.
But I mean, like, how do you not know that your car's getting racked up like that?
Because they were running other stuff at the same time.
and they probably were like a multi.
Yeah, they were running all kinds of ads,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that one they didn't catch.
Wow, $14K.
And I had another person who we brought on who spent $150,000 on ad spend without a pixel installed. And if you guys don't know what a pixel is, it's the way that you're able to track results.
Yeah.
And you're able to retarget, and you're able to make sure that your Facebook campaigns are optimized.
So all that data was for nothing.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it was in Ads Manager, but without a pixel, it's almost useless. So
tell us about a company that you have worked with that is really focused on bringing good to the world.
cool. So one of my favorites, the Crossroads Club, which is a project that we worked on together. But that was one of my favorites. I mean, they hired me a few years back, and I built them a website. And then since then, they brought us on for an event that they had coming up, which was called the Taste of Recovery.
So you guys did that site?
Yeah, we did that site.
It's clean. Very nice.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
That's I still have a few clients that we built sites for that they email the edits, and I'm like, oh no, okay, we still do them for them, but that's one of them. But I love them so much, I would do anything. And so the event coming up, it was for such a good cause. All of the money was going to a nonprofit, and it was raising awareness about really important issues. And also I feel like we made a huge impact. We had tons of purchases made from our marketing campaigns, and they had 300 attendees at the event. And last year, I think it was like 150. No, sorry, I'm totally wrong. They had 1,000.
You talking about this year?
They had 1,000.
Yeah, it was freaking massive.
1,000 attendees, and last year they had like a fraction of that. Yeah. So it did work really well, and it was just so cool
because of you guys, right?
I mean, I hope.
Hope so, right?
Yeah.
So what did you do for them specifically besides build the website?
Sure. So for the event, 3 months leading up to the event, we ran ads targeting the local area, and we put together some really great video content for them.
Where did the funnel start and end? I'm using your terminology now.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you all about the funnel. So the very first step in the funnel was cold traffic, people who have never heard of them before. And we started to show them ads. It was some video content, some images of the food that was going to be there, and just kind of spark interest. And then we led them to a specific landing page that allowed you to purchase a ticket for the event. And because the tickets were priced at $40, we wanted to try to get that average order value up a little bit. So we added in an order bump and an upsell. So when you purchased a ticket, you were prompted to also purchase raffle tickets. And then you were also prompted to take the upsell on the back end, which was to buy more raffle tickets, but for a VIP table. And
the gold table.
The golden table, yeah. And we actually increased the average order value up to $84. So the
40
average
to 84.
Yeah, so the average amount that people were spending was $84, which was great.
Yeah.
Because then it's easy to get a positive return from your ads.
Right.
So from there, if say you viewed the page but you didn't make a purchase, we started retargeting you all over the place and saying, this event's coming up, blah, 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 and driving people back in there. From there, once they did make a purchase, we took them through an email sequence that was getting people pumped up for the event all the way up until the event happened. And they got all kinds of great press, so we were able to use that in the creatives, like them being featured on WPTV, that kind of thing. So it worked really well. And I mean, overall, they got over a 3 times return on their investment for all of the marketing efforts.
Wow. Yeah, there's so much that goes into it.
Plus, they probably, I mean, there's probably a lot of people who just showed up and paid walk-in.
That was just tracking purchases directly from our ad. So there might have been people that saw the ad and just walked in.
Right. Which you wouldn't really even be able to track that. But, yeah, I was like, blown away by the, because, you know, when you look at the website, if you've never been there, I mean, to the event, like, you wouldn't really have any idea, but, like, just the scale of it and, like, how big it was and how many people were there. And then to see all the restaurants that were participating there, you know, donating their time and the food and all that stuff, and then to see, like, everyone win money and then give it back to the foundation was just, like...
crazy, right?
Yeah, it was really cool.
So awesome. Like, that got... My team and we were so, like, pumped about working on that. Yeah. And it was just, like, a fun campaign. And, like, it was doing good. And I think that motivated us a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Crossroads Club is I spent a lot of time there, you know, back in, you know, well, still go there every now and again, but the first time I stepped foot in the doors was 2011.
Wow.
So it's been a long time. And then for me to be able to provide them with a service, you know, and, like, give back to them, even though it was paid, you know, but, like, still to even, you know, to interact with, like, the people who own the freaking place is like, it's like, you know, it's mind blowing to me.
They're good crazy. People. They all are.
Yep. But I was telling her before the show, but that actually I got another job from them. There. Yeah. So that's been really cool, really fun working alongside of them. So I'm pretty much I'm good.
You're done?
I'm good.
I do have one last question for you.
Sure.
I didn't know. Do you have anything else? That's what I should have said.
Yeah, I do have one last question for you. As far as I know it's kind of like general, but what would be the single most best advice that you give a small company that's just starting out? They're kind of trying to figure out, you know, they have a budget, but they're just not really sure where to put that money to. What would be your advice for that, for them?
I mean, I would try to hire a professional because it's honestly going to give you such a good return on your investment. If you hire the right people. So, I mean, I see people spending years and a lot of money making mistakes, and people don't realize how much time and money it actually costs to make mistakes, especially when you own a business. It's like, if your job is, you know, you own a gym, you shouldn't be spending hours a day on marketing. Right. You will make more money if you put your talents to where they're needed, you know, growing the business, and have someone who specializes in marketing do it for you.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about?
I spent like $600 with Yelp and fucking shit.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
Like, really? My partner was like, not Jojo, my other partner, was like, dude, she keeps calling. She's got this deal. I'm like, bro, that's your number one red flag right there. She's got a deal for you. It's fun. Like, she does not care. Yelp does not care if a company wins or loses. Yeah. They care about charging your card $400 or $500 a month, and they do that for all these companies. Right. And it's like, for what? To be visible on your freaking like search platform? It's like trash, just trash.
But if you don't know, that's the thing is you gotta, you know, if I've never done marketing before and Yelp is calling me and I'm like, oh shit.
The other thing that I also want to add, because I did say hire a professional. Make sure you're ready for that stage. Yeah. Because you don't want to invest money in a professional to do your marketing if you haven't actually generated any sales yet. That's a big red flag. Some people come to us and they say, I have an idea. Right. And you want to see that you've actually generated sales. Otherwise, you're just going to, maybe you need to validate that offer. Yeah. Right. So that's one thing. The other thing is, you know, making sure that you're ready to grow. Some people aren't necessarily in a place where they're ready to scale, and they should be focusing more on getting their processes into place. So those are things to consider.
Yeah. That's a big one. Yeah. I mean, I you know, with I think of the juice bar specifically, and I'm like, it's like there would be nothing more that I would love than to like scale the business and see it go through the roof. But there's just like, even still a year into it, there's still things that like are not like fully dialed in, you know, and like it takes a lot more time than that to like really get the process down. Especially like I've never done anything like that before. Like I've managed pizzerias, you know, which is different. But yeah, it's like still even a year into it, it's like there's still things that I think of and I'm like, man, why didn't I freaking think? Like, yo, this is crazy, right? So like a year into the business, I finally got the freaking bartender pour bottles to put like juice and like almond milk in. Like for the entire year, we've been opening the lid, pouring it into the blender, closing the lid, putting it back in the refrigerator. And I'm like, I went to Restaurant Depot the other day and I'm like, I saw these bottles and I was like, it was like a freaking spiritual awakening. I was like, why didn't I fucking use these? Like, but it's the same thing with anything else. It's like you can't, unless you're like dialed in. You need to be dialed in.
Somebody asked me the question once. She said, what if you got 50 new clients in a day? What would you do? That's how you like know. And like I think we would take a deep breath and we would freaking get to work, but it would be hard. And thinking back to that, like maybe even just a few months ago, we didn't really have all of our processes written out. I think we would have all had panic attacks. So thinking about that, maybe for your juice bar, it's even more people. What would you do if you had a swarm of 100 people come in? Like how would you handle it? That's how you know if you're ready for scale.
That's good. That's a good point.
And when it comes down to that, it's like, I think I've definitely, like, I would freaking hit a home run.
There you go. Then you know.
Get it.
I got this person assigned at the cash register. They do dishes and wash blenders. This person's making smoothies. This person's making bowls, and it's
all right. What's his name? Vinny.
Yeah, Vinny.
All right. What happens is Vinny says about 15 people in, and says, "Man, I can't do this, man. I quit."
He would never say that.
Shout out to Vinny.
No, he wouldn't say that. That's why he's in the position he is.
He's a beast.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
All right.
He's an 18-year-old kid, just graduated high school.
Oh, that's awesome.
My number one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we got to get him on the podcast. He's gonna come out on the podcast. So. All right. Well, the podcast is brought to you by D Squared Media, specializing in small business branding or any size business branding, web design, logo design. If you want to check out the Juice Bar website that we've been talking about, which is juicerevolution.net, they completely redid the website. There's an online ordering platform that he integrated for us, so you can check out all that. The podcast website as well was done by them, theeverydayhustleshow.com. While you're there, if you want, you can pick up a shirt, help support the podcast. We have a few different shirt designs available there. And what am I missing, Chris?
Where can people find you?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm being so selfish. It's all about me. It's all about me.
It's totally fine.
Yeah, if people want to use your services or chat with you about their business, how
they can go to sailawaymedia.com and they can find more information about what we do.
Awesome.
Well, thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you next week.